Hey, Nisa.
Hey, how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks.
So today we're talking about a new female-friendly blockchain that will be launching in the fall called Luxo, and they also are creating an RICIO, which is reversible ICO, um, with a token called the LYX.
I love this idea. So, first of all, this entrepreneur is creating something for women, which this never happens. Um, so kudos to her for doing this. She's trying to apply the concept of scarcity and being able and also disrupting supply chain. So being able to know whether a designer accessory like a Burberry purse is to have a chip embedded in it, to know that it's the real thing and not a copy, that's a huge problem in the fashion industry in general. And so that could be solved by using this blockchain. I love that. And then also, she's talking about doing virtual fashion now that we're all online and locked down. There's probably increased demand for looking good in a virtual world. And so being able to purchase designer clothing online, I think is really interesting concept. And then also the way she's doing this reverse ICO is very innovative as well. So I'm excited to see how this does. I think it launches in mid-May, right?
Yeah, it does. I think I'm most excited about the chip embedding in the designer accessories. Now, to be honest, I don't own a lot of like luxury goods like that, but I think when you're talking about supply chain, I think it's really interesting because not just being able to identify counterfeit when you're initially buying something, but also think about the problem of wanting to buy these luxury goods, but you're not going to, maybe somebody's not going to ever be able to afford to buy a brand new $2,000 Louis Vuitton. So they go on eBay or somewhere like a vintage store, but there's always that hesitance for that. Like, is it really Louis Vuitton, even if it's marked down to 500 because it's secondhand? How do you really know? And so I think it opens up the economy for these luxury high-end goods, not just to the people who can initially afford them, but like later in their life cycle when other people who are looking to repurchase. So I think that's really fascinating. And what about you? Like I personally don't, the other aspect of it, buying a really fashionable outfit for virtual worlds. I mean, we've talked about this before. I haven't really explored that world too much, so it's not really relevant to me. I still think it's really interesting, but what do you think about both of these offerings?
I've been reading some things with that when people dress up to do online dating and they want to look their best. That is one area I think where you'll still see demand for people who are trying to do online dating through the pandemic.
Oh, that's true.
But that might be like once a week or something that they're willing to get out of their pajamas to do that.
Right.
And then I think, yeah, your point about mass appeal from reusing or reselling a product, that's why the Real ended up doing so well, is they were providing that service of going into your closet and reselling something and authenticating that it was real before they put it up. But imagine like their whole business could be disrupted by blockchain. Like they wouldn't need all those authenticators. You would just know probably by scanning the code in your closet where it came from, where the product has been, how old is it, whose house was it in before yours. You could, you probably don't need to share personal data unless you want to, but
Yeah.
I'm sure they could identify some of the data and say like, oh, this purse was in China before it was in New York or something like that.
Well, when you talk about how it might potentially disrupt the real, that's an interesting point. It doesn't really go into detail in the article, but do you think that the chip being embedded in the item is something that would start with the designer, or because possibly an individual who is invested and knowledgeable about the blockchain space could buy directly from, say, Louis Vuitton in Paris. They have no doubt that this is real, and then could they even embed it on their own, or would it have to kind of start from the top in order, like the first point of authenticity? Like it doesn't really say.
No, it doesn't. I think it would have to start from the manufacturer. Now if you buy a luxury good, they give you a paper certificate of authenticity,
Mm-hmm.
which is just going to be digital at some point.
Yeah.
There's just no reason to have that. I mean, unless you want to frame it. It's like you bought a stock certificate of Apple and you want to frame it. Well, like those won't exist anymore. They'll be like collectibles.
Oh, wow. I never knew that people framed that. I don't think I've ever kept any of those papers. Like when I
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
coach bag or something. That's
Neither have I, but there are people out there that collect some interesting things, right? So yeah, I think fashion and supply chain is one area of crypto and blockchain that hasn't really gotten that much attention. And I love that it's a woman that's bringing it some attention because there's money to be made there. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this offering does.
Yeah, yeah, I am too. And I think, like you said, the supply chain is really ripe for blockchain use cases. And if it's successful in high-end fashion, I don't know how you could translate that to other antiques and goods and art pieces and other things where there's not really a way to authenticate it originally from the top, like you might with a manufacturer. But I think the potential is still there. So it's a really exciting venture that this woman.
Yeah, or even like jewelry with Everledger. That's exactly what they're doing for the diamond business. So another female entrepreneur. Tell us what you think. All you ladies out there, would you be interested in something like this? Let us know.